All right, everyone, welcome to today's recap. I hope you all are doing well and staying blessed. If you guys are new here, my name is Jeremiah. I'm a day trader. I trade small cap stocks, momentum, and breakouts. I stream every single day, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I upload my recaps after every trading session, regardless of whether I'm red or green. Today is unfortunately a red day, $40 in the red. I woke up a little bit late. I woke up at 6 o'clock, 6 o'clock flat. I wake up at 5:30, which I did today, but I went back to bed and I woke back up at 6:01. I sat down right away, disregarded my morning routine completely, and I just started jumping in stocks without doing any due diligence. And I didn't even look at the level two. So let's jump right into this. Take a look at my trades here. So my first trade was on RAYA. This stock has a float um, of 800,000 shares, which is a really low float, obviously. So that's good. But the setup I took on it was right under resistance. So I don't see much wrong with this setup, honestly. This could have worked. Um, there isn't a real setup though. That's the only problem. Um, Obviously, it was an early entry for first candle to make a new high. I didn't want to get in at the high, and then my stop would be at VWAP or the low of this candle. So that was fine. That was somewhat fine, but really not the A quality setup that I should be looking for. And then I take an entry right after that trade. So, and it's on the same stock. And then now I actually buy at the high, foolishly, after two doji candles. And now it's a shooting star, and I get stopped out. So now I'm $25 in the red already off the bat. So my next trade was on DRCT. This has a float of 359,000 shares, another really low float stock. This setup was somewhat better in the way that this stock was actually pulling away and this was a leg up. We weren't like pulling back at the time of my entry, and we were not under daily resistance. I actually didn't know that at this time, so I can't even say that um, I knew that. But I did take this entry here as it was pulling away. It was for the break over this level right there. And so it dipped down from my entry briefly. There was a nice 10-second bull flag right here, which I could have taken if I had it pulled up earlier, but I did not. Obviously, I'm a little disoriented not having done my morning routine. So this is a nice 10-second setup. I could have waited for this, which I should have, but there it starts to pull away. And so we break through $5 there. Now we're up to 15. So I try to take profit there on the ask. I don't get filled, so I move my order down, and then finally I get filled at 11. Really? Okay, I guess. Yeah. Okay, that was 11. Okay, never mind. So my next entry again, same stock. Kind of the same entry. It was as soon as the next 1 minute candle opened, and this was sort of just like I guess a micro pullback right here. So we had a dip and then a rip, but I didn't get in for that. I got in like as this candle closed here, which is risky, to be honest. That should have been, if I was holding this, that would be an ad right there on the dip. So obviously this is not my best trading here, but thankfully I got back to break even at this point. So my next trade, once again, same stock. I got in for the first candle to make a new high. Took an early entry here. I thought this was nice. The only problem is we have topping tail here, so shooting star, and then another shooting star, and we're right under resistance. So the odds kind of seem against the trade, but I take it anyways. And this ends up being a small loser, I believe. So I jump in there. I wasn't even looking at the level 2 this whole day. Like I completely disregarded it. So we tapped that level again. I sold, which I think was the right thing to do. And yeah, there we go, the dump. So I sold because obviously that was not working. Just a small loser. So next trade was on RAYA. This is the same stock I traded originally, with the 807,000 share float. I'm just taking all types of entries, honestly. This one was because it was above VWAP, and I thought this was a low risk entry since we had VWAP as support. It's not that it's a bad setup, it's just that I'm really trading every single setup, which I don't think I have the right to do that at this point right now. I need to prove some profitability, more so than I have now. So I took that off the table for a 10-cent winner. So as you guys can tell, I'm just going back between being up a dollar and down a dollar. So basically just break even. Um, and obviously I can tell at this point, I can tell that it's not working today. I went in the red, then get back to green, then went in the red, back to green. So the caution flag was already up to just take it slow or walk away. Next trade was on SOPA. This is a setup I just don't ever take, since I've gotten smoked on it so many times in the past. But for some reason I took it today. I don't know who I was feeling like, but for yourselves, um, just terrible, terrible. I didn't even let it hold up. Spreads are still pretty big, way too big. I didn't check the spreads on the first stock I traded. Rookie mistake. I'm embarrassed to admit to that, but it's true. And this is just not good trading right here. Just having my order to sell there and leaving it as it just sits and doesn't get filled. So another trade on DRCT. Once again, another instance of where I bought too high. Much too high. And I said that in my stream. That was enough to cut it right there. It's a doji candle. Get out while you can. Obviously, it would if it was going to be one of these candles, it would have just pulled away. And it didn't. So the cue to sell was there. I could have been down only $3 if I had just sold it. But I don't. And finally I just sell it. So not a huge loss by any means, but still. Right after I took another entry. So as you guys can tell, this is overtrading at its finest. This setup is a little better than the other one in the way that it was actually a bottoming tail. Okay, but I didn't sell. Like, as soon as it went red, that was the sign to sell. But still, both are not. Neither of them were good setups, and I can't say I know that some of these were good setups anyways because I wasn't reading the level 2, and that's just crucial. Um, yeah. So not much longer. I take another trade. I'm just trading like way too much. Trade after trade. Seems like I can't sit tight for a second. Once again, buying in at the high of day, or just way too high in general. I I wasn't aware of any of my entry points. When I was looking at the level 2, I was like, I didn't even know. I was just looking at the level 2 just to look at it, to be quite honest. And yeah, I didn't have any really real mental stops in mind. So I've done it to myself today. I mean, as is the usual reasoning for a day like this. So here was a dip off the 9 EMA. This trade, I actually like this one more. I like the dip off the 9 EMA, but it was under VWAP, and I didn't take the dip off of VWAP. I didn't take the dip off the 9 EMA. I took the entry as it had already proved that it will hold the 9 EMA. So I took it right under VWAP, which is not ideal. Right into resistance. You want to be buying closer to support. It's much easier to manage your risk that way. Yeah, today I was just completely off my game. I wasn't even aware of half dollars or whole dollars. Not paying attention to any of that. So it is what it is. Even though I knew today was a struggle from the beginning. So this was the most acceptable trade of the day, I will say. So it broke above this level where it hit its head 3 times, and I was thinking this is support right here. I'm going to take an entry there. My stop will be right below, and that was fine. This is the most acceptable entry. And my stop was clear because it was just right below this. As soon as it broke, it would be a red candle and I'd be out. This one is okay. I don't even remember how much I made on it, but regardless, I'm okay with this trade. The other ones were like, there was no clear setup. It was just like, I'm just buying just cause. So okay. All right, so trade on BGL. The float on BGL is 9.67 million shares. I thought it was a little bit higher than this, or maybe that was a different stock. Okay, but anyways, buying way too high here. If I was gonna buy for the break through the high of day, it should have been much closer to that level. This was not a good trade at all, and there's not much I can say about it. Right at the whole dollar, right below the whole dollar, so at psychological resistance. Not even watching the level 2 really. Just like jumping in and asking questions later is what I was doing. Do not skip your morning routine. Note to self. Literally right after, I didn't even have to fast forward. I think I took a trade here. Like if this isn't overtrading, then I don't know what is. I didn't wait for confirmation. This would have been a nice setup if I let this candle close and we got first candle to make a new high, but I didn't, and then now this is a red shooting star. That's what brought me to $34 in the red. So this is my next trade on ATLN. This was similar to the trade I took on, I don't remember which stock it was, but right under VWAP, literally right under VWAP, I'm buying. It was similar to that trade I took, quote unquote, off the 9 EMA, but I ended up buying under VWAP. This one also just did not bounce off the 9 EMA. Sorry. So that's what brought me down to $53 in the red, and then we took a trade on KUST. Once again, I really don't know. Okay, this was a setup on the 10-second chart. This one was all right. This one was all right. A nice little bull flag there, but still very extended off of all, the VWAP and 9 EMA, so risky in that way. I think I added here. Okay, never mind. That was not the one I added to, but that was small little green trade. And then I jump back in here as it starts breaking to new highs. This one also sort of risky because I'm just buying at the high of day and it's right after a topping tail. But I think this one works out. We have a 10-second setup forming. So even if you don't take that good of a setup when a stock is pulling away, you can still get some profit out of it. Like how I managed to get profit even on this such a bad, like not such a bad setup, but with no real entry, just speaks to the fact if you're trading at the right time, you're not trading the chop, then you'll make money. So just something to keep in mind. But I'm just blocking my mic so you guys don't have to hear my parents or my family speaking. All right, so that was the trade there. That brought me to $38 in the red. Not bad. So I took another trade here as it started to pull away once again. It popped up all the way up to 92 there, but dropped down immediately. I probably should have sold it a bit sooner, like right here. This is risky having a position in a topping tail right now, especially at the high of day. But I was thinking we had a 10-second setup forming, so I'd hold it, but this ends up being a loser. This was the point where I could have sold it. Or here. That would have been better too. So that one ended up being a loser. Not long after, I take another trade. Pops up once again for my entry pretty nicely. So that's nice resolution there. Taking it off the table. So now I'm back to 35 in the red. I jump back in actually. And then it hits 4, 399. Does not touch 4 actually. So I had ample opportunities to sell. And now we have 2 topping tails, or tweezer top there. And this actually, I think, ends up being a loser. Oh, or never mind. Sorry. Small winner. Break even trade, actually. So I took another trade here on KUST. This one has a float of 588,000 shares. Break through the high of day, right under resistance. Can work, but is risky. Very extended at the moment. Just with that resistance level there, it's extra risky. If it was blue sky, that'd be very different. We do have a 10-second setup forming here. It broke, but I think this ends up being a false breakout. So selling that one for a loss. Just feels like I'm going back and forth. 1 step forward, 2 steps back. This is literally the whole day. I know this is a longer video, y'all, so I apologize. But so I jumped in here in an AMM. This one has a float of 4.2 million shares at the open. I think it dipped down for a second. Yeah, right there. And then it popped up well above my entry. But I did not take profit quick enough to capitalize fully. So I'm just sitting here waiting. Risky to hold that as a shooting star candle. That is very risky to hold that. But waited for the open. And once the market did open, it pulled away here. I was at $20 in the green. I could have sold it, but I didn't. And so this ends up being nearly a break-even trade. Just $3 in the green. So that was the last trade of the day. Ended up $40 in the red. It's unfortunate. I apologize for the longer stream today, or recap. But this is the unfortunate reality of overtrading. And I guess is my punishment. Well, I appreciate you guys for tuning in, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.